For most of us, using reference tracks is an essential part of our mixing workflow, unless you're lucky enough to have golden ears, very experienced mix engineer, and to be working in a high quality studio environment with great monitoring and good acoustic treatment. Reference tracks can provide what is essentially essential reality check on the state of your own mix, how that mix is progressing. Now, this is very easy to configure within Cubase, but there is one small tiny detail within the mix console feature set that just makes the switching process between your mix and the reference mix that little bit more seamless. It's super easy to do, so this will be a very short video, but once you've seen it, it's incredibly useful. So let's explore. So I've got a project open here actually within Cubase Elements just to demonstrate that this works in all versions of the Cubase software. I've got a project here with multiple tracks within it, and down at the bottom of my track list I've actually imported a reference track, a track in a similar style that I want to use to compare my mix to the mix contained within the reference track. If we flip to the mix console for a moment, you can see my various individual tracks. The way I've got this project structured is that all of my individual instruments, my drums, my bass, my synths, my vocals, my backing vocals and so on, they're all being routed to a number of buses. You can see here drum bus, sound effects bus, bass bus and so on. All of these buses, group channels, are then routed to a mix bus. And sat next to this mix bus channel is my reference track. And just worth noting, I've got a number of metering plugins, a couple of freebies sat on here, BX Meter and Span. Of course, if I was using Pro version of Cubase, I could have Supervision in here instead of these freebie alternatives. BX Meter, for example, provides me with some level or loudness information. What I want to do then, as part of my referencing process, is simply to be able to switch between hearing what's going on my mix bus, my mix, to that reference track. So I can switch quickly between the two signals to hear what's going on. So I've got the reference track muted. Let's play back and hear my mix. And now if I want to switch between my mix and the reference mix, I have to mute my mix and unmute the reference mix. So let's hear that now in context. Mute my mix, unmute the reference mix. Mute the reference mix, unmute my mix. Now that standard workflow, muting and unmuting my mix and the reference mix, works absolutely fine. It does involve 2 clicks, but it works absolutely fine. But what you don't get is that seamless playback, immediate switching between the 2 audio sources. And obviously, if you mess it up, there's a possibility that you can hear both sources at the same time and may overload your stereo output channel. So that tiny feature that I mentioned, if you hover over the solo button, you can see in the context-sensitive help that pops up, one of the options is something called exclusive solo. Now on a Mac, it's Command and click. Under Windows, it would be Control and click. So I'm just going to hold down the Command key on my Mac keyboard now. And if I click the solo button, my mix bus track and anything that's feeding into the mix bus track, so from my group buses, for example, will be soloed. Everything else will be muted, and everything else in this case includes my reference track. If I then do Command click on the reference track's solo button, that is exclusively soloed, and everything else, including my mix bus, is muted. So let's now do exclusive solo on my mix bus. I'll trigger playback, and then I will use exclusive solo to flip between hearing the mix bus, which is my mix, and the reference track. So a totally seamless way of moving between hearing my mix and the reference track mix. Super easy. All you need to do is hold down the Control key, Windows, or the Command key of Mac OS while you activate the solo button. And what you end up with is exclusive solo, allowing you to flip between those 2 audio sources in a seamless fashion. There is always something new to learn within the Cubase feature set, and exclusive solo is just one of those details that it's very easy to miss. But once you're aware of it, can make a particular task that much more straightforward. Anyway, if you're interested in this kind of Cubase and music tech related content, there are some links down below in the video description to some further resources. If you're new to Cubase, just beginning your journey with Cubase, one of those links will take you to my Cubase Essentials course on Udemy. Feel free to check that out. Thanks very much for watching, and until next time, I hope you enjoy getting some music made.